Hello, Facebook. Good afternoon. Andy DeLucia from andydelucia.com coming at you. It's been a hot minute, but I wanted to pop on real quick. Excuse me while I'm adjusting my little setup here. Happy Tuesday. What's going on? Hope everyone had a nice holiday weekend. I'm coming on to talk to you a little bit about my new program that I'm launching. Actually drops on Friday, called the Tie-Dye Method. And I'm super excited about it. And there's a little story behind it that I wanted to talk to you guys about. I'd love any feedback on it before I drop it. And also, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Andrea DeLucia, also known as Andy. And I'm a mindset and trauma mentor for women. I'm trauma-informed mentor for women, helping women come home to wholeness, healing lineage cycles of past trauma and pain, because I know how important that is. And I'm also a true believer that no external circumstance in our life, no person or anything outside of our own people who we are can really fulfill us and make us happy. I believe that happiness starts inside, because I have searched high and low for that happiness out externally through business, through relationships, through love, through other things. And I've never truly found it until I came home to myself, until I came home to me. So that's what I help other women do, is heal their traumas, heal. And I'm going to get into this a little bit more when I go into the program, because, and this is a lie for another time, but healing trauma is very subjective. And I'm going to be talking about that subject over in my group, the Survivor community. So if you want to hop over there, you can hear about that topic. But anyway, I want to talk to you about this new tie-dye method that I came up with that I'm pretty proud of, actually. And this came to me, my daughters, I have 4 children and 3 of them are girls. And we've been keeping busy, obviously, with COVID and all the stuff going on and being at like beginning of summer vacation. And they started doing a lot of tie-dye outside. It was just like we went to Michael's, we bought all this tie-dye stuff, we bought all these t-shirts. Hey, Heather. So they wanted to do tie-dye. So I was like, all right, cool. You know, why not? Let's do it. So they've been playing with tie-dye for the past couple of weeks. They've been making all sorts of tie-dye tank tops and t-shirts. And then we had our cousins come over and they also did tie-dye. And one day I was watching them make tie-dye, and all of a sudden some inspiration like hit me. And I was like, this is much like what I do with my clients. It's like I bring in different methodologies. I bring in different modalities to heal trauma. It's like healing trauma is so subjective. What does healing really look like? How do we heal from past trauma? And when I was watching my girls put the colors on the tie-dye and put the elastics on and make their little creations, I realized like that's exactly what I'm doing with my clients and what I've done with myself is I've done different variations of modalities, of different healing practices, of different intuitive downloads that I felt that I added into it, different things that, you know, lit me up at the time, that I felt would make this beautiful masterpiece, this beautiful healing masterpiece. So a lot of times when I get like intuitive downloads, they keep showing up in my life. So not only did the tie-dye happen that day when the kids were doing it outside and I was participating as well, but then I started seeing tie-dye everywhere. Like I went to the store and then I saw the tie-dye shirts there, and then I was online and I saw something tie-dye there, and I was like, oh, this is something to respond to. And if you don't know human design, I am a generator, and I'm here to respond to the world. That's what I'm here to do. I'm not here to initiate. I'm here to respond. So in my response, I started creating out of response. And the initial first thing was intuitive. It was like, ooh, I feel this. I'm excited. It's like juicy in my soul. Like it got like really exciting because I could visualize this program. I could visualize all the different colors coming together to make up this beautiful healing masterpiece, that I could bring in all these different modalities. I could bring in human design. I can bring in mindfulness. I can bring in breath work. I can bring in all the things, the nervous system, all the things that I do with my clients and with myself. And I can create this beautiful, multicolored, multi-dimensional piece of art. Because really, guys, like, healing is art, right? I didn't think of it like that until I watched my daughters do the tie-dye, but healing is art because it's what comes from our soul. And I feel like I'm more of an intuitive healer because I get certain feelings and certain downloads and I channel in certain things that I then like will work with my client on right on the spot. It's like a quick, intuitive, channeled thing that I just kind of bring right to the surface. Or I feel things that they don't necessarily have to say, but I can feel them. Like, I can feel their energy. I can feel the stagnancy. And then I go deeper into the energy, right? So I've never really like thought about it like that. I've never really thought that healing was art, but it really is art. And when you can mix in different pieces of that art, when you can bring in that multi-dimensional, multifaceted, unique approach to healing, that's when you get like this beautiful piece of art, a beautiful piece of healing, this beautiful specimen of healed, because it's coming from a different place. Like, it's very hard to articulate, but let me know if you understand this. But it's like you are bringing a piece of yourself when you are helping someone, when you are a healer, when you are a coach, when you are a facilitator of any kind, right? Or even in like anything as in like customer service, you are bringing yourself you are selling yourself, right? So a piece of you is coming into play. Without you, there is no magic. There is no magic without your unique healing, without your unique piece of art, your unique contribution. It doesn't make sense, right? It's not gonna come out the same way. So when I'm working with a client, one thing that I love to do is tap into my intuition, tap into my sacral, what feels really juicy, what feels good right here, and listening and opening up that channel. And when I see things, I get downloads for programs. I get downloads for who I want to work with. Like my Uprooted membership that I have for trauma-informed coaches, healers, therapists, and teachers. That came in the shower. Like, I have no rhyme or reason. It wasn't like I premeditate this shit. It just happens. Like, I instantly get a feeling of like an instant download, and then I'm like, go. And then I look for signs, right? Because part of being a sacral being is listening in and looking for signs and looking for something to respond to. And that's something that I've had to embody, because before I was very impulsive with things, but now I like slow down and I wait for a sign or I wait for something to respond to. So when I started seeing tie-dye everywhere, that was my cue. Like, you are aligned, you go. Now is your time to go. And I felt really passionate about it because, like I said, I visualized all these different modalities coming together, making up this beautiful piece of healing art, because healing is an art. And there is no one way to heal, right? There is no one way. Like, this isn't therapy, right? So this isn't traditional talk therapy. This is completely different. So I don't approach this as like a therapeutic kind of thing. This is a very mindful, soulful, it's in your body. It's how you feel. It's what touches your soul. It's what moves you. It's what you can feel. It's not necessarily what you think. It's what you can feel. Because for most survivors, one of the biggest things that I see with my clients is they've lost a sense of feeling. Right? They don't know how to feel anymore. Everything feels numb. Everything feels stagnant. It's stuck energy. It's hard to move through it. So it's like, okay, how do we get that energy to move again? And one of the reasons that I do this work is because I want women to come home to themselves. And the only way they can complete themselves and come home to themselves is if they feel. And without feeling, you don't know what boundaries you need to set. And without feeling, you don't know what still hurts, right? You don't know what you can still touch upon that's still kind of wounded and open and raw and gets re-triggered a lot of the times. We have awareness, but we get desensitized by life. And I know this very well because this happened to me. We go through the motions, especially moms and wives. And if we have a business or we work, it's like we go through life and we go through the motions of life. And then we end up at this rock bottom place and we fall apart because we're like, what just happened? Like, why am I falling apart? And it's like, you're falling apart because you were already at that place, but you desensitized those feelings so much that you were so far away from your feeling and your soul and your body that like you weren't cued in. And now that you're aware that you are this distant from your own self, you can now heal that part of you and reconnect with yourself. So really, reconnection to me is healing. Reconnection is what I do a lot with my clients, is I reconnect them to themselves, mind, body, soul. We cannot heal just our mind. We have to heal mind, body, soul. It has to work like that. Now, I'm not saying that everything has to be like perfect or feel perfect at first. No, and never actually, because there's no such thing as perfect. But when should we make those connections? And that's really what the tie-dye method is. It's a methodology around mind, body, and soul. It's multidimensional. It's multicolored. It's it's bringing in different facets of healing. It's bringing in different levels of awareness. It's bringing in that touch factor. It's bringing in all your senses, because when we connect to our senses, we become very present. Another thing that I see survivors really struggling to do is be very present. There's so much in the past. What happened to them in the past? I was hurt in the past, blah, 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 blah. Whatever was going on in the past, we tend to live in the past instead of being like, oh, okay, that was the past, but now I'm in the present. So how can I reconnect to myself now? So part of my methodology and what I do with my clients is I connect all those pieces, that mind, body, soul, so we can almost like move past the past and into the present, because safety is found in the now. Safety was not then, safety is found in now. So when you can feel safe in your body again, when you can claim your own safety and be like, I'm not looking for external safeties, I'm connected to me and I'm safe, then you move forward from there. And that's where healing becomes subjective. What healing works for you, right? And that's your self-determination. That's not for me to decide. I'm just a mentor. And when I have a client that chooses to work with me, then they have decided that this is the path that they want to go on. But for someone like you might decide, oh, I would rather do talk therapy. Like that works better for me. And that's cool too. But it's all about this somatic approach to healing, this mind, body, soul connection. Listen, the brain, 95% of the time you are operating on an unconscious level. So what that means is you are in a fight-flight response. Especially right now with COVID, what's going on in the world around us, we are in a fight-flight response. That is called survival responses. That's your autonomic nervous system kicking into high gear. One of the things that this tie-dye method does when it brings in these different modalities is it almost like unveils to you where you are dysregulated. So if you're dysregulated in one system, say digestive system, which is something I've certainly struggled with, dysregulation in digestive system means dysregulation in all other systems. You have to be speaking the same language to all systems, right? Just imagine you and your partner trying to communicate. You're speaking French and they're speaking English. Like you're going to get miscommunication, right? There's going to be walls being hit because you're not speaking the same language. So when you start speaking the same language in your systems, that's when you have regulation. That's when you have flow. That's when your adrenaline comes down and you're not in fight or flight. So part of the tie-dye method is really about regulation. in helping you determine where is dysregulation in your body, but not in your typical to talk therapeutic way, I will say. It's more about a mind, body, soul connection, because that's what this methodology is about, mind, body, soul. I have always been a person that's always been in the mind. I've always been in this very masculine energy. I've always been in the head, all the pressure in the head, all the things I've overthink, overanalyze, overdramatize, like everything. It's always been in the head. Over catastrophize. Anything you can put the name over to, that has been me in my life. I've been that person. And that's what happens when we are disconnected and we have dysregulation in our body. Okay, let me know if you have any questions. I see some people hopping on, but I don't see any comments or anything, so I don't know if it's my phone or what the hell. Facebook sometimes has bugs and it does this. But happy to answer any questions you have. So let's just kind of go back a little bit. So the methodology, the tie-dye method that I'm actually thinking about patenting because I think it's pretty amazing, is really about bringing in a multi-dimensional way of healing. And when I was watching my daughter, I was talking about tie-dye, and the reason why tie-dye came to me and it was inspired was because I was watching my daughters make tie-dye on the back porch, and they were doing t-shirts and tank tops and all the things, and I was like, wow, that's really cool how you can add all those colors and you can manipulate the fabric, and then you can get this beautiful masterpiece when it's done, right? This colorful, beautiful masterpiece. And then I just felt inside my soul like that's what I do. This is exactly what I do with my clients is I mix different things, different medicines, different approaches, different modalities. I use human design. I use nervous system. I use somatic. I use all these different things. And what comes out of it is this beautiful healing specimen, this beautiful masterpiece, full of multicolored, multidimensional piece. And I really believe that's what healing is. It's a lot of different things coming together that just work. And finding what works, that's with your own discernment. You have to find what works. That's not for me to determine for you. There are some modalities that work for people, and there are some modalities that don't. I know that's true for me as well. But I'm trying to change the landscape of this trauma-informed path. I want to change the way this looks for people. You don't have to sit in therapy for years upon years upon years, drudging up old past horrific memories or traumatic experiences that have happened to you. Trust me, I sat in therapy for over 30 years. I know that. I'm not saying that therapy doesn't work, because some therapy does work. And I attribute a lot of my growth to some specific therapists that have got me from A to B. But here was the difference. They were growth-minded. They were open-minded. They were heart-minded. They were connected. They understood there was a connection needed. They understood it wasn't just a neurological situation, that there was really a whole body dysregulation going on. And I didn't learn about the nervous system until way later on my journey. But now that I have this awareness piece of it, it's all being put together in this tie-dye method that I am dropping on Friday. Not only is this tie-dye method great for survivors of trauma, and listen, when I say survivors of trauma, we're all survivors of trauma, right? Everyone on the planet has experienced some level of trauma. Trauma is not what happens to you. It's how your body internalizes the experience. So if I go out and I am walking or jogging with a friend and we both fall or something, whatever, we trip over something, she could brush off and keep walking and be totally fine. My body could have a totally different response from that. I could end up having a panic attack. I could end up having night sweats. My body could be dysregulated. My adrenaline can go up. I can go into fight or flight. Whatever happens in my body is what happens. We can equally experience a very similar situation or the same experience and come out of it very different people. Okay? So don't ever think, oh, I haven't really gone through trauma that much, so I don't really, I don't need to regulate. No, BS. Every person in the world needs to regulate. What we're going through right now as a world with the COVID and all that, you are experiencing trauma. You may be like internalizing it differently. You may not be as affected as Mary Sue down the street, sure, but there's still something going on there for you. And why people can regulate better than others, it's because I believe there's a compounding effect, is what I call the compounding effect. So say like if you grew up with any type of childhood trauma, or you had birth trauma, or your mother who carried you was like, had a lot of anxiety or depression or PTSD, or just was a very nervous person, say, and she carried you, you could have dysregulation right from birth, okay? Addiction, any of that, dysregulation right from birth. So if you're in the world and you already are dysregulated in some way, then as time goes on and you start experiencing life and you encounter your own experiences with your own traumas, they compound. And if they're not healing properly, if you're not taken into a safe environment, if you're not taught how to create safety within yourself, if you don't know how to process trauma, if you don't know how to process emotions, if you suppress rather than talk about it or get back to your body, then there's dysregulation there. So don't take yourself out of the game just because you're like, oh, I've had a great childhood, or like nothing bad has ever happened to me. That's awesome. That's awesome. But that doesn't mean that you don't have shock trauma or you don't have surgery trauma. There are so many different types of trauma that you can have that you may not even be aware of that is creating dysregulation in your body. So a lot of this tie-dye method that I'm doing is not only good for survivors, but it's also good on the flip side for trauma like informed coaches, healers, teachers, leaders, facilitators, because it's also unveiling my approach to healing trauma. And again, when I say that subjectively because healing trauma is subjective, and that's a conversation for another day. But healing trauma doesn't mean we are addressing the actual traumas. We're not healing the trauma. We're just getting that regulation back on track so you can move forward. Because like I said earlier, we tend to live in the past. And until you actually can be present with your body, mind, body, soul connected in the present, you really can't heal and process the way that you need to. Okay? So, I'm really, really excited about the tie-dye method because I think it's going to be revolutionary in the sense where we're not only bringing just one modality to the forefront, but now we're bringing 2, 3, 4, 5 modalities, and we're building upon this beautiful masterpiece, this beautiful tie-dye masterpiece, is which I'm really excited about. And again, some of you might be like, oh, okay, that doesn't really make sense to me. And I guess it doesn't have to make sense to you as long as it makes sense to me, because it's my creation. It was my download. It wasn't yours, right? But it's really something that I'm trying to put out into the world because I want us all to know that like trauma doesn't have to be addressed inside of a therapist office or a psychiatrist office or be put on Prozac for God knows how long, right? Those just create Band-Aids. They don't create healing to the root cause of it, right? We want to heal the root cause. So whatever that root cause is that's creating that dysregulation, that's the part that we want to dig up and really examine and then heal that part of it. And again, with healing being subjective, it's all in the person and what they decide works for them. Like you are always deciding. You are always driving the bus. Like no one else can make you feel any way, shape, or form. Like when you're like, oh, my mother made me feel like that. No, your mother didn't make you feel like that. You chose to feel like that. No one can make you. No one's putting a gun to your head saying you have to feel like this. You're choosing to feel like this by influence, by conditioning, by your own dysregulation. So when you are 95% operating in that subconscious level, and remember this is like scientific fact here, we are operating in a 95% subconscious level, meaning that 95% of our brain is on a subconscious autopilot. So if you are in dysregulation and something pisses you off or sparks something and your adrenaline rushes to your head or in your body, you're immediately in fight or flight. when you get stuck there, that's where it creates that compounding effect. So my method is to get you out from underneath that compounding effect, to clear out, okay, where's the root cause, and to build up from there. Where are you dysregulated? So I've had clients that have come to me that haven't had a period in months, maybe years. And after we cleared out dysregulation, after we got them back to almost baseline, they were able to have a period again. I've had clients that have had PTSD, that have had complex PTSD like myself. They've had anxiety, panic attacks. They have been on medication. They have seen many therapists. Like I've seen it all. I've seen quite a bit. I've seen brain injury. I've seen it all. And truthfully, it all stems from that nervous system. It all stems from that dysregulation. So combining this beautiful mix, this colorful mix of different modalities, to kind of unleash that and like get rid of that conditioning, because a lot of times we are acting from a place of conditioning, right? We are conditioned to feel a certain way about ourselves. Someone can't make you feel that way, but because of that conditioning, that programming, imagine yourself like a very wise computer, like you're the smartest computer ever. Like you are conditioned to have this ongoing programming. Does that make sense? I kind of veered off track a little bit, but yeah. So the tie-dye method is dropping on Friday, and I'm super excited about it. So if you're like, I'm really curious about dysregulation, I'm really curious about how I can heal some of my root cause stuff, or like what even that is, or I'm feeling like I have some past trauma that I want to kind of just unravel and I want to heal from, but I'd love to, like, I don't want to sit in therapy. I really don't. And I don't want to have to drudge up all the past shit and re-traumatize myself. So why don't I experience this type of method where I get different modalities and I can see what works for me and create my own healing masterpiece, because that's truly what this is. And again, you're using your own discernment. No one's forcing you to just do anything. And even though we talk about one thing, doesn't mean that like that one thing, has to make or break. Like if that one thing doesn't serve you or doesn't feel right, then the next thing might just be the perfect thing for you. But that's why I think it's great, because I've had to experience all sorts of things to get back to my own mind, body, soul connection. Like I've had to do a lot of different healing, spiritual healing, mind healing, mindfulness, breath work, body movement, meditation, all the things. Like I can't even think of everything I've had to do. Human design, conditioning work, nervous system work, somatic stuff, like so many things to get myself where I am today. And now there is no perfect version of healing. There's no such thing as like, I am at the top of the mountain and I no longer need to heal anymore. Absolutely not. Especially where there's been a compounding effect over the years. And especially where 95% of your brain is operating on the unconscious level, you are up against a fight in a sense, because you're always you're combating that. You're trying to stay present when your unconscious brain wants to remind you of your past, right? So that's why it's really hard to take steps forward for people, because they're stuck in this place in the past. And if they have evidence of their past, if they have evidentiality, whatever it is, if someone said something to them, if they were influenced, if they were conditioned, if they were traumatized, and they have all this evidence, then the subconscious mind reverts right back to that. But we can train your mind to stay in the present most of the time, which I think is a pretty amazing. And while working on the nervous system, so while we're working through that that overarching trauma, whatever that is for you, we're underneath that underbelly, underneath where that root cause is, while we're working through that, any type, whatever modality you choose to go in with and really do out the digging and really figure out where that dysregulation is. And I teach you all the different ways of doing that, they're very easy ways. And what I love about the tie-dye method is as it evolves, and it is going to evolve daily, but as it evolves, is it becomes more less invasive, because my route really is about being like less invasive. Like I want to be able to heal, but on a very holistic way. Like I don't want it to feel hard for you, and I don't want to add additional pressure, because one of the things that I found like when I was in therapy was like I had this additional pressure on me, and I don't know if anybody else has felt like that, but healing shouldn't feel like more pressure. And I believe the pressure came from drudging up the past, knowing, oh my God, I have to go back there and I have to talk about this, and this is so difficult to talk about, and I don't want to talk about this, and like I don't want to go there again, and oh my God, I'm just exhausted from like talking about it, and I'm exhausted from going through the emotions from it, right? So this is not so much about talking. This is more about experiencing, getting in touch with your senses, reconnecting to yourself, mind, body, soul, which really what makes up the tie-dye method. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions on that. And that drops on Friday, and it's $111. And it's a great, it's a 4-week program for right now. And it's going to be live in a Facebook group. And we're going to be touching upon all the different modalities and practices and strategies and tools that you can take into your life, and that you can take into your client's life, and you can work with them on, and all sorts of things. And like I said, as I evolve, as it evolves, you will be also in there to learn and grow with me as well. So it's really amazing. It's work that I've already done. And it was just more of a visual. It was just more of like, yes, this feels really good. This feels really aligned with what I'm doing right now with my clients, as I'm building upon these different artistic ways of healing trauma, as I'm building all these modalities, as I'm building different methodology, as I'm building all this stuff up. These are my medicines, right? Like I always say, why I feel experience is the best teacher is because after experience, you get medicine. Right? Your medicine is your lesson. Your medicine is what you've experienced and how you've overcome it. So it's your resilience. That is your medicine. So when you have this medicine, you can then take it into the world and you can share that medicine. And it's safe medicine, and it's medicine that works because you have proof that it works, right? And again, it's all in what feels good for you, because you're going to use your own discernment. You're going to say, does this serve me or does this not serve me? And this is a great lesson on boundaries. This would be great for someone that's like, feeling like something's going on that they can't quite put their finger on, but they want to do a little bit more digging and find out what it is, or they just want to reconnect with their body. Like I always go back to that movie, Jerry Maguire, when I don't know, he or she said it. It's been years since I've seen Jerry Maguire, but one of them says, you complete me, right? And that's always kind of pissed me off, because it's like, no one can complete you. Like you complete you. So when you can connect with yourself, when you create safety in your oneness, when you create safety for you, then you complete you. And the only way you can really heal from any type of past traumatic anything is by being in a safe environment to heal, to process, to go through the emotions, to use different things to help you get into the present, to regulate yourself better, because instead of living in survival, living in that fight or flight, you're able to regulate yourself. And that's what completes you. That's what completes you. That's what's completed me. How many of us are always looking for external things? Like, I got to buy this to feel better. I got to go drink this to feel better. My spouse or my partner's got to make me feel better. If they don't give me what I need, then I'm not going to feel better. Like, how many times do we waver between and negotiate our needs for someone else's? Or how many times do we say, put the responsibility on someone else to feel better? A friendship, a relationship, a spouse, a partner, whatever it is, a situational thing, a money thing. If I make this kind of money, then I'll feel better. When I make 10K, I'll feel better. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to feel better first, and then the rest comes, right? You have to complete yourself first, and then the relationship comes, then the money comes, then the other stuff comes. But if you're looking for the external to serve you, to give you what you need, to make you feel better, that's what I call creating false safety. So when we create real safety, it's in a space that is not only safe, but it's protected and it's well armored. So it's like, I can take you through it without you being harmed. So I can take you through the motions, take you through the modalities, take you through what I do without you getting further hurt or re-traumatized. That's creating safety. And when you are ready to heal, and I know sometimes I'm triggered in motherhood and being a wife, and that's when I say, okay, there's something here, like I need to heal this, or I need to do deeper work, or maybe I thought that I healed this, but I didn't. This wound keeps reoccurring and keeps opening up and I keep getting triggered. What can I do? Well, that's when it's like, okay, now I have to step up and I have to look at a different way of healing it, because here's the thing, just like working out, and I don't know much about working out, but just like working out, if you work out with the same exercise every single day, you're going to hit a plateau, right? You're not going to see your body change if you're repeatedly doing the same thing over and over again, even if you're consistent. But your body responds to changing things up. Your body responds to that different thing coming in and switching the chemistries up, right? So maybe it's cardio one day and it's weightlifting another day, but at least you're switching it up and your body never gets complacent with that one thing. So if talk therapy is just what you've done and you're like, I'm still here, I'm still in the same situation, I'm still feeling the same way, I'm still reverting back, I still get triggered, I'm still not, feeling myself, I'm still having panic attacks, I'm still dealing with all this stuff, then it's time to switch it up. And that's not to say that therapy doesn't work or it's not effective. It just might be time for you to switch up what you're doing. Maybe you need to get more mind, body, soul connection. Maybe you need to do more breath work. Maybe you need to do some mindfulness work. Maybe you need to learn about the nervous system so you know how to regulate. All those things. Okay? Well, thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful. I kind of rambled on for a little bit. I had a lot to talk about and I was just like, whew, just let it out. But I want your feedback, like any feedback that oops, sorry, I didn't mean to bring anybody on camera there. I think I just touched something. Any feedback you have about the tie-dye method, if you're interested in like learning more about it, joining the program, it's 111. It drops on Friday and it really is pretty freaking cool. And I'm so excited about it. So, yeah, join me, DM me, let's talk about it. If this was helpful, let me know. I will check back for comments later. If there's anything that I missed, I'm sorry, but sometimes Facebook is wackadoodle. Thank you for staying with me and joining me, and I'll see you later. Bye.